This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, I find myself in a world of impossible architecture and inexplicable machines. I cannot fathom how it works, and I am terrified to put one foot in front of the other, lest I fall through the floor. Cue the music! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always are the Destructo Bros.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's Nate.
Hey, it's Willie. How you doing?
Homeboys. How y'all doing? What you guys been up to these past 2 weeks? Everything okay? The world hasn't ended, so we can give a thumbs up for that. Maybe a thumbs in the middle. I'll go thumbs in the middle.
Was the world supposed to end? I never get the memo anymore.
I don't know. I'm sure one of those calendars said that it was that day. Was at some point between the last 2 weeks.
Actually, I remember seeing something on TikTok that I think it was like on the 24th, the rapture was supposed to happen. So
there you go. See, there's always an end of days upon us. Oh man, let's. I'm gonna go clockwise. So let's go, Nate. What you been up to these past 2 weeks, my good sir?
yeah, so it's been just pretty chill time. Like I've been playing a hell of a lot of Tears of the Kingdom, and I stand by what I said in my early review last time we recorded, that it's just like, what if Breath of the Wild was even better? Like, honestly, I'm not really usually the kind of person that goes after the games that win Game of the Year or whatever, but I have a hard time seeing this one not getting Game of the Year. Like, unless, like we said last time, there's something incredible that we don't know about coming out. I don't think it's going to be Lord of the Ring Gollum. I'll put it that way.
Oh boy!
That game.
Oh yeah, that one has had a spicy release.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because like I actually got an ad for it on TikTok. I was like, "Whoa, this is out for modern PCs and modern consoles, and not the Dreamcast."
Oh my god, yeah. Seriously, it's especially wild because when I think of Gollum as a character, one of the like four things I think of is probably the most notable version of really excellent motion capture to animation ever.
Right?
And
yet this game looks like, it really does look like a PlayStation 2 game at best.
I'll never forget. And I'm so I'm not happy that game is as awful as it is. I feel really bad for the developers. They probably got.
Hey, but for everyone who's a big fan of Jedi Survivor or Hogwarts Legacy, at least your game isn't the bad launch of the year now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But like
you do not get the Fallout 76, No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk 77 award.
I don't want to like throw shade at them. They were probably rushed to get that out the door because that's just the way publishers are these days to developers. Mm-hmm. I feel for devs. Fuck some publishers because they're all.
I'm not saying anything about anyone who did art or coding or music or anything for the game. That's not who I'm trying to make fun of. It's obviously all corporate pressure and all that. That being said, lol, this game sucks.
I just wanted to preface because like when we did that. The mock draft thing with the games and stuff. I remember Jeremy drafted Lord of the Rings Gollum and was like, man, that game's going to get me so many points. I wish it would have came out. I wish it would have came out when that thing was going on so he could have ate that in the minus fucking whatever the fuck it was.
It was supposed to
that game got like...
The game was supposed to come out last year and it just came out and it looks like this.
It got delayed last year, yeah. Or it might have been that, or he wishful thinking drafted it in case it came out.
Oh, okay. But I was like, yikes.
I'm sure he'll hear this and clarify in the chat.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not looking great.
But other than just going balls deep in Tears of the Kingdom, which highly recommend, get it. Been pretty slow a couple weeks. I did check out this show called Jury Duty. It was Saturday. Sat on the couch. Did not get up off the couch for 4 hours. Binge watched the entire thing. So the premise of this show, Jury Duty, is there's this guy who's doing jury duty. and he's there thinking he's filming a documentary what being a juror is like. Literally everybody else is an actor. So
Oh my god.
so like they're putting this one guy who thinks he's filming for this show in this room full of actors, and like looking at it in hindsight, like I can see why you'd fall for it, but like James Marsden was there as himself, like the actor James Marsden, and like the whole premise of it is like they ended up getting sequestered, so they had to spend all this time in the hotel and then going to the court. Like it was like a 2-week long experience for this one dude, and the situations they ended up putting him in, like for like they did this thing where they like the sequestration, I guess is how you pronounce that. They let him go out to have a dinner one night at a Margaritaville, and the actors were just going crazy, doing all this goofy shit. It was like almost like watching an episode of The Office, and this guy was just living this like it was his real life. It just...
That sounds really
I
cool.
highly recommend checking out Jury Duty. It's like the funniest fucking thing I've seen in a long time. And at the end, like they were like, it was funny too, because like it was almost like a morality test too, because they put him in these situations to see how he'd react. In the end, like this guy just seemed like such a nice, genuine, and honest dude. And like at the end of it, they're like, "Dude, you're awesome. Here's $100,000. Thanks. Don't be mad at us."
Hey, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, cool. Oh, what was that on?
Oh gosh,
If you mentioned it, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
I didn't. It was on this weird thing, and it got pretty big notoriety. Like a lot of TikTok clips and stuff from it started blowing up. Okay, Nathan.
It started blowing off.
It might be Prime that was on, because I know it was actually something free that they released. So I think you can just go on and watch it on Prime Video. Really good stuff.
Word up. I will definitely look into that, because that sounds like my kind of humor.
Yeah, 'cause it's called a Freevee original, Jury Duty. Like, yeah, I think it's through Amazon. I think you guys would both really enjoy it. It's so funny. Because, like, and the funniest part about it, too, is, like, this guy didn't really know who James Marsden was, and they started hitting it off with him. He was like, oh, yeah, I'm an actor. I was in Sonic. He's like Sonic the Hedgehog movie? I heard that sucked. And James Marsden just looked at him like, damn. Like, that's so damn funny. Yeah, check it out. I recommend it highly. That's me for these last couple weeks.
All right, and that brings me to the Willmeister. Willie, what about you?
Well, I mean, the obvious follow-up on the last episode is I started my new job this last couple weeks.
Woo! That was not planned.
Yeah, they just both wooed like Ric Flair at the same time. That was weird. You guys okay?
Yeah, we just got that drip, though.
Got that Ric Flair drip. Anyway, so... Yeah, I mean, it's been going really well. I mean, at the office, they've been telling me things like, 3 days in, and they're like, yeah, this is about how much we expected you to learn 3 weeks into the job. So I'm definitely picking it up very quickly and getting a lot done. But, like, on the other hand, it's been really frustrating because it's like you start working, you're like, I've been working so much lately. I just want to get my money. I need to get paid. And I don't get my first actual paycheck until Friday. But then, like, I've been doing a couple Uber deliveries over the last week too, and then Uber screwed up everything on their end and disabled my cash out ability entirely.
Ouch.
So then I had to set up a direct deposit, which I thought would clear on Monday because that's, when the end of their cycle is. But no, it turns out direct deposits from Monday clear the Thursday of that week. So I don't even get paid for what I was expecting to get paid for last Thursday until tomorrow. Or today, I guess, when you're listening to this. Unless you're listening to this in the future, in which case I get paid in 1976. So yeah, but then there was that, and then like I went to Taco Bell the other day, and they rang me up twice, and I've got a bank dispute going on with them, and neither the bank nor the Taco Bell helpline could just immediately reverse the transaction, so I'm still waiting on that. And so I'm just really frustrated. I'm going to have money soon. I just wish this would have all happened after I got my first paycheck instead of before,
But once that's all cleared up and you have that money, you're going to be like, yeah.
Yeah. You're going to be getting that good.
I'm going to buy Zelda, and I'm just going to sit there and play Zelda.
Yeah, I can't wait to get your reaction to that, dude. Like, there's parts of it I really want you to see.
I might hit up Fit Girl, see if she's got the hookup on it, and see.
Bet she probably does by now.
Probably by now. I'm sure her I think it's her buddy Yuzu. I think Yuzu can handle it, so I'll figure it out.
I'm sure.
Cuckoo.
Figure it out.
What else have I been up to? I guess I got to do my Doom report because I always have something Doom related going on. I started playing a series of Doom WODs called Glaive. This one is just like really short and intense maps that are inspired by Scythe, which was my favorite Doom WOD. I've played Glaive 1 and Glaive 2 now. I couldn't get through the last map of Glaive 2 without cheating, and then I went back and played it through on the easiest difficulty level just so I could say I beat it. But the difficulty has spiked at this point, but before now it was fairly easy. I was able to get through all of it on ultraviolet continuous play until that point. Then there's 4 episodes of it, so there was Glaive 1, Glaive 2, and I haven't started on War Glaive or Glaive 3 yet. But Glaive 3 has a really cool feature that I saw in there that it just sounds really cool, which is there's a thing you can do called Chaos Mode. So somewhere in each of the levels, there is a weird little switch that's like all fire blue colored. And if you press it, it just releases all of the monster traps and all the monster teleporters and stuff all at once. So just all of the enemies will be in the level at that moment. There's no trickle release of anything at that point on.
Jesus.
You just go right in.
Just go ham.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be like that one level when me, you, and Nate were playing Quake, and there was like a swarm or something, and all of a sudden we just got flooded with enemies in that one room, and we just all took turns like, okay, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die, we need to res. Okay, we're res, you can die.
Yeah. Yeah, it would probably be a really fun one to do co-op if they have co-op starts built in.
Yeah.
So
I think we should dub this segment of the show Dane's Doom Corner. That dude probably loves all the Doom talk whenever Willie gets into it.
I'm sure he does, dude.
I like to do the Doom.
Speaking of Doom, actually, before I get to that, is there anything else you'd like to chat about, my brother? I don't want to step on you.
No, but I think I know where that segue was going.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of Doom, I bought Warhammer 40k bolt gun. And man, is that game cool.
So yeah, they made a retro shooter game in the Warhammer 40k universe.
Dude, it's stupid fun. It is insanely gory.
I've heard that the titular bolt gun itself is one of the most crazy OP weapons that people have ever seen in a game, and that shooting people with it is like seeing a balloon filled with blood get hit by a rocket.
Yeah, dude, it's tremendous. It's tremendous. Even when you first start out and you don't have a gun and you just have like the chainsaw thing on your arm and you run up to an enemy and you're just like, brrr, and they just explode into this red sea of blood and guts. It's fantastic. And you can go into the options and stuff and you can set the pixelation and you can set like the CRT-ness. I'll say. Yeah, T-ness. That's almost sounded like penis, right? We almost missed that one.
Shut up, Tinus.
But dude, I think both of you should get it and play it. It might be a game that we should do for the show because it is a blast from what I've played. I've only played a couple levels. Don't get me wrong, I haven't gone through and like played the whole game yet, but it is just so stupid fun. And I'm very impressed at how smooth it runs, and at the same time how smoothly not smooth the animations are. Like, the animations are
Chunky,
still in
crispy.
like 15 frames a second. Like, when you go and cock your gun and stuff, like, you can tell it's that old style. But, like, the level itself looks, it runs at like 60 frames and you're going everywhere, but the enemies and everything still have that old school stuff. It's so cool.
That sounds awesome.
It's so cool.
As far as the gameplay goes, like, even the most negative reviews I've seen said, well, this is what Doom 2016 would have been like if it didn't have glory kills, and it shows how important glory kills were. So, like, if you think Doom 2016 without glory kills still sounds pretty good, which I do, yeah, I would play the hell out of that.
Yeah. And I really appreciate the art style. Like I said, I liked that retro direction. And I was talking with this guy I work with, Nick, and I was like, I said, dude, do you like Doom games? He goes, did you get bolt gun?
Ha!
And I just went, yeah. I said, dude, if you like those old Doom style shooters, man, I really like it. He goes, I'm not a big fan of boomer shooters. And then he just raises his eyebrow and he goes, but I do love 40K.
See, I'm like the complete opposite. I'm not terribly interested in 40K as a setting, but this would make me absolutely get in there and give it a go, you know?
I'm kind of the same way because, you know me, I'm more about high fantasy than I am, galactic space stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love that as well. But like the 40K and the futuristic sci-fi, I got Warhammer 40K Inquisitor, which is a Diablo style game. And that's kind of gotten me into the point where I'm like, okay, let me see what else is. So now I have a bunch of different Warhammer 40K games, just like that, because they had a sale and they were like a bunch of the older games of Warhammer were like $5. I'm like, yeah, let me snag that. That's how I ended up with a bunch of XCOM games too. It's like, yeah, I'll get these eventually. But yeah, dude, just really been enjoying Bolt Gun. It is a lot of fun.
Is that the same series? It's like the Warhammer, like End Times Vermintide thing.
So there are okay, kind of. There are two.
I mean, it's the same universe.
Yeah, Warhammer Vermintide and stuff happens in like the
Warhammer Fantasy,
old school fantasy, and then Warhammer
there's Warhammer
40K.
Fantasy and there's Warhammer 40,000.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and Warhammer 40,000 or 40K is what everybody calls it. Is the like way in the future.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there's a lot of different Warhammer games. You start looking into it, you're like, whoa.
Because I know like that Vermintide one on Steam, and they have Total War 2 Warhammer on Epic. So I was just wondering if those were the same like universe, but that's like the old one, not the 40K. Got it.
Yeah, that's the more fantasy. You're gonna see like goblins and dragons and things like that.
Word up.
There's still like orcs and stuff in the 40K universe. They're just kind of hilarious. Like the orcs of 40K. It's first off, it's orcs spelled with a K, not a C, so you know they're crazy. But like the orcs, they believe that anything you paint red automatically goes faster. And the other thing about orcs is they have such a powerful force of will that just because they believe it, it actually does become true.
Nice,
dude. If I ever do a tabletop game in a Warhammer universe, not that I ever would. But if I did, if one of y'all played an orc and painted your shoes red, I would absolutely let you have extra movement during battle and stuff. Because that would just crack me up, dude.
That feels like trying to play 40K with the sensibility of a paranoia DM. I wish I knew someone who had actually played Paranoia before so I could learn it, so I could DM it for you guys, so you could DM it for me back, because god damn it, that game sounds so fun. But I just feel like I didn't mind picking up Monster of the Week and trying to DM it without ever having played with anyone else before, but Paranoia seems like one you got to do right, you know?
There was a Paranoia game in development for a while, like a video game. I don't know if it ever came out, though. I don't remember. I'll have to look that up. So what else have I been up to? I've been working.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I sent you guys a clip of it. I had to move a ton of water the other day.
Yeah, that was
we got in like, I think it was 3.5 pallets worth of 24 packs of water stacked. I don't know, what were they, 8 high? No, maybe 7, 6 high. It was a lot of water. They were like, how big are pallets for people who've never seen a pallet? Are they like 5x5, 4x4?
More like, I'd say 3x3. I don't know the exact dimensions.
Okay, so I know you can get
69 by 420.
That's big.
You can get like 9 12 packs. Like 369. You can get 9
Damn,
on a
she
pallet.
fine.
Damn, she fun.
Yeah. So after you come and sock it to me one more time and we get low for a while, then stack them like 6 high. Anyway, this is a lot of fucking water. So like I did probably like I said 3.5 pallets worth of that, and of course I was the only one in the back, so it was just me. Gotta love it. And then I had a day of solace yesterday where I didn't have to do much of shit. I go in today. Oh, I'm sorry. When I'm in there last night, they're like, "Oh yeah, the day I did the water that night, we had a cleaning crew come in. They were supposed to come in and clean the cooler and the freezer and all that stuff. What they did is they hooked up this big hose thing and they just sprayed everything down with this like water cleaning solution, including like all the products. So like anything we were wringing up out of the cooler that night was just soaking wet with water. So I go in the next
Brain
day,
geniuses,
and they're like, "Hey, we need you to go fill the cooler and the freezer, but be careful in the freezer. The floor is like a sheet of ice." And I'm like, all right. So I go in there. So I thought about it today when I went in, and I was like, do we have a mallet? And And they're like, yeah, we got a rubber mallet. Give it to me. And I spent damn near my entire shift in this fucking, like, I don't know, 20-degree cooler, wrapped up in a jacket with gloves on, just pounding the floor with this mallet, breaking up all of this ice. And then I went and got a scraper and was scraping the stuff I couldn't mallet up and getting the walls and stuff. And it was just like, dude, I had so much what I'll call snow, because it was just really powderized ice. It's basically what snow is. I wanted to make snowballs and just walk out and start chucking them at my coworkers. I didn't know if that would go over well, because then I'd have to clean it up. But if the ice didn't look like semi-gray, I would have done that. But
yeah, that was
I
dirty
ended up just throwing
ice.
it all away. It was dirty ice. It was that dirty. You don't want none of that. At least it wasn't yellow.
Be concerned if it was.
I would be very concerned if it was. I'd have been like, dude, what was that worker doing in here?
Whatever he damn well pleased.
What, Bam Margera, what will he do next? Whatever the fuck I want. There's a throwback. Everyone's going to be like, holy shit,
Yeah,
that's
right.
right, Viva La Bam was a thing. Let's see, what else I've been
We're
doing.
not showing our age on this podcast at all, talking about Viva La Bam and 369 Damn She Fine.
Any of y'all remember Pogs?
Dude, you know what's funny is I have two things of Pogs. I have my Pogs, and then I have my cool looking Pogs. Yeah, I'm that nerd. Let's see. Hung out with Brandy some. So like Memorial Day weekend, I went with Brandy to her family like barbecue, had some food and stuff. It was fantastic. So it comes up. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this on the last podcast, but for the first time in 15 years, I am under 300 pounds. My good gentleman.
Yo,
I am down to, last time I weighed, I was 289, I believe. So I'm working
289. Damn you, fine.
Thank you. My next goal was 275, and then I want to try, and I'm just going to slowly lower it. I don't want to set it to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot for 225 and then just like not get there and be upset. So I'm doing increments, I would even be happy with 280 right now. But anyway, her mom was like commenting, I hadn't seen her mom in years, and she's like, oh my God, you look so good, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, oh, your hair's not that long anymore, huh? And I took my ponytail or my bun down, and she was like, oh, there it is. And she goes, Dalton plays guitar. Which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I just knew immediately. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to start talking about music now. And then this guy gets up and disappears. And he comes back holding the guitar. And I was like, I knew it. I knew it. I'm going to be the entertainment now. So he sits down. Luckily, me and him were passing the guitar back and forth, and he was doing some picking and stuff. And I really enjoyed listening to him play. So he hands me the guitar, and he hands me his guitar pick. Now, both of you have played around with guitars, so you will know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to try to describe this to the listeners, but while showing you, and yes, my guitar pick has a pot leaf on it. The guitar picks that I use are thick. They don't flop.
Yeah.
Right? And the lowest that I like to go are mediums, and they have a little bit of flop, but not much. This dude handed me a pick that I could have ripped in half with my fingers. And that kind of pick is really good for the kind of stuff that he plays. You know what I'm saying? Like the little, like just picking chords and playing little ditties. And I was honestly, like, I'm not hating on the dude. Dude was good at guitar. I was impressed, right?
I'm not hating that dude. He just used a bitch pick for bitch music.
No, God. But I struggled so hard, and I always used to keep a guitar pick in my wallet. And I looked in my wallet, and it wasn't there. And I was like, damn it. So I did my best. And he also didn't have a capo, so I couldn't bust out any of my really cool sounding stuff. But I did have fun. And then what else? Let's see. I've been playing some more Sacred Gold. Dude, I'm going to throw that at y'all sometime soon, even if I got to buy it for you. It's on Steam and it's on GOG. But let's just go with our experience with older games, and let's just go ahead and say that episode will be a GOG complex.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Fallout 3 has kind of poisoned the well on this particular one for
And
us.
well, I should have known better back then. But I always get my old games if I can on GOG because, like we've talked about before,
Because it's where the good old games are.
it's where good old games. That's what they're all about, and they get them running for you. Like even like the older games that usually you would have to run through DOS, like they pre-configure DOSBox to get it running for you, and that's just so nice of them. They don't have to do that. Steam don't do that.
No, they don't.
But
We're all still a little mad about Fallout 3.
there's and if y'all didn't particularly like the resolution that Sacred plays in, there is a way that we could get around that because it is, the older square style screen, and do not alt tab out of it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. I know you guys have played like Diablo and Diablo 2 back in the day. Think about those games if they were open world. If it was just one big
that sounds
map.
pretty cool.
Let's see what else. There was one. Hold on, let me look at my recently played because there was one other game I wanted to bring up, and my brain is taking a dump right now. I messed around with some Path of Exile. It's all right. I think if I dove more into it deeply, but I don't want to get sucked into an MMO. I already made a new character in Black Desert.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, I just really want to get to the point where I can buy a boat and go fishing in that game. Because the graphics are so good and the fishing is fun. And also, like, if I need to get up and go do something, I can just let it sit there and idle, and it will auto fish. If you're not actively fishing, it just takes longer to catch a fish. But there is a game that I started to play, and Willie actually was mentioning it in the chat that he saw me playing it. And it's real good. Divinity Original Sin. I'm trying real hard not to get sucked into that game. It is the reason I did not beat the Talos Principle again.
Wow.
I beat Talos Principle the first time. It's just this time I didn't because it was like, man, I'm really having fun with Divinity. So I've been messing around with that. I did have a couple pickups I got. I finally snagged Doom Eternal.
Nice.
Cool.
Got that for cheap. I didn't get the fancy version with all the DLC
The one with
and
like,
stuff.
the ancient gods and all that. Yeah.
I figure if I like the game enough, I'll get those eventually.
Yeah.
I got a game called Date Alive Rio Reincarnation, which is like a visual novel dating sim type thing that y'all would not be interested in. The game that I got that I think you both might be interested in, though, is a game called Lost in Random. Either of you, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? No? Okay, it is like a little 3D platformer with a very gothic style. Let me pull up the store page and hit the link so you guys can at least visualize what I'm trying to talk to you about. I just realized that might help. I'll post it in our little stream chat here. So it looks really just cute, but also awesome at the same time. I like the art style a lot.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it got relatively good ratings. You know what I mean? It looks like a Tim Burton game almost. So I was like, okay, I'll check that out. It was on sale. It may still be on sale. I got all three of us for the stupidest reason. We could have easily emulated this game. But I bought us all Homefront: The Revolution. And I'm sure people who are listening are like, why? Like, Homefront's not really one. I have both Homefront games now, and it's not really a series that you ever hear anyone talk about, right? It could be a sleeper, by the way. It could be one that we play and we're like, dude, why does nobody talk about I have no idea. But in Homefront: The Revolution, apparently at some point during the game, there is an arcade machine. And on that arcade machine, you can play Time Splitters 2. And it has the first 2 levels. But there is something that you can do. It's either in the game's code or it's like a cheat code that you put in, one of the two, or it's a file that you have to edit. But you can unlock the entirety of Time Splitters 2. Obviously, the multiplayer is not going to work, but like the campaign, all the other stuff, you can unlock the entirety of the game inside of Homefront: The Revolution for no reason. And I love that. I'm here for it. That game was like on sale for like $3 something. So I was like, fuck yeah, we're all getting that right now.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, I don't know. Time Splitters is one of those ones where like I rented it a couple times and I remember it being like really neat. Like, I liked how it felt like the logical follow-up to like the Perfect Dark games, and it just felt like it didn't get enough of a, fair shake. So
yeah, I really enjoyed them, playing them with my friends, because we didn't have Nintendo 64, so like none of us had GoldenEye. So our GoldenEye was Time Splitters 2, and then when Time Splitters Future Perfect came out,
which I mean, doesn't it literally have like a level based on the dam level from the original GoldenEye?
Yeah, I believe so. I do believe so. I remember there being a dam level in Time Splitters because I remember having to shoot the crazy character that has a fishbowl for a head with a fish in it. That's the thing I love about Time Splitters is that there's like 80 characters and they're all ridiculous. The only other game that I got that I wanted to touch on before we can move on is I got, and this game's still in alpha, but it's called SCP-5K.
Okay.
It is an SCP. Oh, I'm going to go to the store page and just read you the description. SCP-5K is a cooperative tactical horror shooter project that puts players in the midst of a story inspired by SCP-5000 by Tehoni.
I don't remember which one 5000
Neither
was.
do I. If you want to look that up real quick while I kind of describe the game, we can do that.
Yeah.
So when it says, I don't want to scare Nate away with the word tactical, it's not like a tactical RPG. It's more, think Rainbow Six, like that kind of shooter, where it's not like Call of Duty where you're like, it's like you can actually like lean around walls and that kind of thing. I had a blast with it so far. I haven't run into any SCPs yet, although I know that they do exist in the game. But I have ran into anomalies of sorts where they're just like crazy monsters running at me. And I've had some jump scares, not for the fact that they were programmed to jump scare me. It's just like I turned a corner and boom, there was an enemy there. And I was like, ah! Oh, you ugly motherfucker. Take a bullet to the head. Bam. But that's one thing I like about it being a tactical shooter. If you get them with a good shot to the head, dead. Like, that's satisfying. As much as I love Borderlands, it's so unsatisfying to lay 10 bullets into a dude's head and it's like he's got half his health bar left. I'm like, are you kidding me? But I have to try to remember it. Borderlands is just an RPG with guns. Like it is. So did you find what SCP-5000 was?
This is a very complicated one that's going to be really hard to explain.
Fair enough. If anybody wants to look it up, go look up SCP-5000. I would really like to play some more SCP stuff for the show. You guys know I love that spooky shit.
5000 was kind of like the archive of an alternate universe in which the Foundations, the O5s, basically changed their assignment from the protection of anomalous things to the extermination of humankind. So, yeah.
Oh. All right. Yeah, so far in the current side, there's about 1 to 2 hours of story content. Unless you're me and get lost roaming around, and then you can get an hour or two just in that first fucking area you're in. But yeah, I got this in alpha because I wanted to support a SCP game, and it looks promising. It's hit and miss with early access stuff. We all know that, but I hope to see more out of this because just playing the alpha, this game's got fucking potential.
Hell yeah.
It really does. And I think it would be a great multiplayer game. Like having you and a couple buddies going in there as a squad, like, bro, it could be real fun. So I will keep people updated on this as it gets updated.
Cool. Definitely looking forward to that.
All right, boys, we played a game. And we played a game called the Talos Principle, and I clicked the wrong thing. Here we go. The Talos Principle. But before we get into our thoughts and the fact that this is a revisit, it's that obligatory Wikipedia bullshit. Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
I like that
Much better than WikiFeet.
I mean, I would argue, well, we won't get into that. Wikipedia, where the fuck did that even come from? The obligatory Wikipedia bullshit, or otherwise known as, and the much easier to say,
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. That might just be what we call it now, Wikipedia. The Talos Principle is a 2014 puzzle video game developed by Crow Team and published by Devolver Digital. It was simultaneously released on Linus. Yeah, on Linus, you know that character from Linux, OS X, and Windows in December of 2014. It was released for Android in May 2015. I cannot imagine playing this on a phone.
No.
And for PlayStation 4 in October 2015, iOS in 2017, and Xbox One in 2018, and Nintendo Switch in 2019. Wow. That was felt like a lot of dates.
That's a lot of releases for one game.
And the virtual reality enabled versions for the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive were released on the 18th of October 2017. A DLC entitled Road to Gehenna was released on the 23rd of July 2015. The game features a philosophical storyline. It takes the name from Talos of Greek mythology, a giant mechanical man who protected Europa and Crete from pirates and invaders. Other names taken from mythology and religion used in the game include Elohim, Gehenna, Samsara, and Uriel. So, this is definitely a puzzle game.
Yep.
So, to quickly run through the fact that this is a revisit, I wanted to play this game with you guys because originally, and anybody listening can go back and listen to it. We did an episode on this with Ryan. Me and Ryan did it back in the day, and I remember Ryan not beating it but wanting to see the end of it, so we ended up doing like a wrap up of sorts, like a second episode, and that didn't get near as many views as the first one. And it's like, oh man, so I wanted to revisit it, for one, because I thought y'all would have more input on it, to be completely honest. I love Ryan to death. But and two, I just really felt like replaying this game to see if here we are 2 years, almost 3 years later, if this game was still as good as I remembered it being. Now, obviously, we'll get to that. I'm more curious as to your guys' first impressions running into it. Let's start with Willie. Willie, what were your first impressions jumping into this game? Did you have any expectations? Did you know anything about the game beforehand?
So, the main thing I really knew about this game going into it was it's a really, highly regarded puzzle game. I don't think I actually listened to the original Steam Machine episode about this game, so I'd kind of...
How fucking dare you, sir?
I don't watch this show. This show sucks.
Fair enough. Continue.
I'm a fan of, what's another video game podcast?
Tadbog, Tyler and Dave play old games. Shout out.
Yeah, that one's an actual good one. I was going to say an ironic one instead.
Oh, my bad.
But yeah, so all I knew was basically that this one is it's a puzzle game. It's very philosophical in nature, and although I wasn't told what the exact nature of it was, I understood that it was something to do with consciousness and AI and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's all I knew going into it. You want my first impressions too, or should we go around further on that?
We can get Nate's thoughts on that, and then we can go to your first impressions.
Yeah, what'd you know about going into it, Nate?
Well, I did listen to the original episode on the Talos Principle, so I had a pretty good grasp of what the game was about and all that fun stuff.
Fair enough. Yeah, and then, of course, I knew what I was getting into because I'd already played it. So then we'll just continue this cycle of Willie. Then, what were your first impressions jumping into it?
Well, as often is the case, I've been kind of busy and I was the last one to start the game, so I actually saw a few of your messages to each other before I even jumped in and played it at all. And so I'm reading all these messages and I'm like, I think I might hate God. And I'm like, you know what? I think I need to play this game right away and figure out what the hell is going on and why you would say that. Then I got into it and it, I don't know, I really liked the very clean ruins aesthetic of what you were going into, and then how it juxtaposes immediately with themes of AI, networking, obviously the philosophical things, like one of the first things you see is a computer terminal that links you to the Milton library. So like obviously that's reference like Paradise Lost and all that, and then the game really rapidly starts mixing you up with mythological and like both like Judeo-Christianical and like ancient classical mythology, and then like Renaissance philosophers, Enlightenment philosophers in between. And very early on, I'm starting to wonder, okay, was this game made by people with a fluent knowledge of all of this? Or is this kind of like the Matrix kind of thing where they're name dropping everything they can think of that's vaguely related?
Yeah, like, I think I saw something from Aristotle, Socrates, Bophades.
Not getting us with that one, buddy.
Damn. Testicles, my right hand man. Anyway, sorry, continue, Willie. I was just being a dick.
No, that was basically it. That was kind of my jump in.
Okay. Then what about you, Nate?
Yeah, when I first jumped in, I was like actually really surprised at how good the game looked, because I knew it kind of was an older game, but like graphically holds up super, super duper well. And immediately starting to play it, I didn't really realize what the game would look like when I got in, and I was kind of impressed by that. But then when you finally start getting into gameplay, I was like, oh shit, this is a lot like Portal with more stuff. So I was immediately kind of drawn in and excited to play that. And then like when you finish puzzles, you get this feeling of satisfaction, especially when you're starting to get into harder puzzles. Like it starts off with really basic, easy stuff, but then there's like, yeah, once you start solving it, you really get into it. You're like, oh yeah, this feels really damn good. I had a lot of trouble putting it down once I started playing it.
Yeah, I would say my first session also was like really long because I like just really enjoyed the early drip of like new puzzle mechanics and new like structures of those mechanics. Like I think especially in the early game, it did a great job of arranging a couple elements in really clever ways.
Yeah, I feel like they did a good job of whenever they would introduce a new mechanic, like they wouldn't make the puzzle they introduced it in hard. They just made it where it was like, okay, so this is what I need to do with this item. And then the next puzzle would be a little bit harder. And then like, 3 or 4 puzzles later, those are fully integrated and you're no longer like, training wheels are off as far as that item goes. And then you start getting into we'll talk about the cross puzzle stuff later, but
yeah,
like
in the story that made sense because like what the whole premise behind it is you're this basically newborn person, quote unquote, and God is trying to teach you and prepare you to be a good follower of Elohim, the God. Yeah.
Fun fact. I just assumed that thing was God. Like I did not realize that Elohim was British. My God, dude, my brain is all over the place today. I did not realize that it was Jewish, like in Hebrew, for the name of God is Elohim. So I didn't realize that. So it was just like, I am Elohim. Or, as we'll touch on later, the version that I played. Yeah, you can call me Elohim. But yeah, dude. So I just kind of assumed that was the voice of God because it was loud and booming and like my child and doing all that kind of thing. It was very, very much God vibes, which immediately gave me like, all right, well, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
Because they always want something.
And also, like, it really, really early on intentionally contrasts, like, the booming voice of God with, like, this obvious artificiality of the place you're in.
Yeah. I do like how, and this might be, I guess we don't want to necessarily talk about the game linear, whatever the fuck word I'm looking for, in a linear sense. Like, I really enjoyed how, like, as the game progressed, you would be running around and you would just hear, and that was, you knew it was just parts of the level were just glitching out, but they were glitching out on purpose. And it was always cool to catch one of those. Yeah. Like, where you're looking at a wall and all of a sudden it's like, and the wall just kind of like turns really strange looking and then shoots back to normal. And you're just like, huh.
Yeah, the game's full of a lot of really neat little touches like that, and I really appreciated that. One of my favorite parts of the game, too, was, like, we talk a lot about the kind of like philosophical and godlike things in this game. There's also the whole point of more like the programmer's thoughts that program this kind of simulation and thing that you're working in. Like, I really enjoy getting her thoughts of what was going on and like how like the world was essentially ending. They don't really think they described why the world was ending, so I was really kind of curious about that, where all of humanity ended up being gone. But
I have an answer for that. Would you like to know? Well, continue.
yeah, so I just like really enjoyed the way they handled those segments as well.
So, what ended the world in this game's world scenario was that global warming kept going and like basically melted the glacier stuff, which unlocked a disease that was like dormant in the permafrost, and it came out and it was nothing like any of the humans have ever experienced, and it basically wiped out humanity before they ever could find a cure for it. And this was humanity's last attempt at trying to start the world over, basically. So this was like one of the attempts.
Got it.
And before I forget, boys, we did it again. Because we mentioned we were going to play the Talos principle. This game came out how many years ago? Almost 10 years ago. And in the 2 weeks that we were playing it, there was a Sony State of Play for PlayStation.
Yep.
And during this Sony State of Play for PlayStation, they showed a trailer for a game called The Talos Principle 2.
Yeah, like, this makes us have to be really careful with our host picks moving forward, because who knows what we're going to unleash upon the world.
Right? Like, I can't even count how many times this is now that we talk about something on the show and we're like, man, we'd love to see a sequel to that or something. And it never happened. A week or two later, hey, guess what's coming out? Fuck Your Face 5. We're like, oh my God, I love Fuck Your Face 4 so much. Like, it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, that we did it again. We did it again. Do you have a puzzle that you remember that was like the first one that made you go, how am I going to do this? Because I have a very specific one. I can go first if you guys would like to think about it for a second.
There was one that I can really imagine. It was one with a bunch of just like the lights, actually the laser beams that you had to use to kind of connect them so they could go into like things to open doors for you. This one was very much with a lot of windows and stuff, so you had to like aim your things in specific different ways, and I was like, oh God, I only have like, I feel like I need 5 of these tripods and I only have 3. How the hell am I ever going to do this? And it's just like I said earlier, like the whole, you finally do figure it out and you're like, I'm a goddamn genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was definitely a laser reflector puzzle for me. I think it was the first one where you had to actually use elevation to make sure that the blue and red beams don't cross.
Don't cross the streams.
I think that was literally what the puzzle was called.
It was one of those puzzles that made me stop playing this time. But that's not the one that I was thinking of. The one that was the first one that made me go, I have to really sit here and think about it. You walk into this area, and there's a big square, and there's a bunch of fans, right? And you have to... Here's how you solve the puzzle, because I don't know how to describe it other than that. You set the fans up where there's one on the ground, and you need that to float up. No, I'm sorry. You need to stack 2 boxes next to it. And then you float up to the top of those boxes. And at this point, you have these other fans set up that are going to, because these fans are going to blow you to the other side of the level.
I remember this one.
And it's going to catch you and then throw you to the left. So you have to get up onto these boxes by floating up, landing on it, standing in the laser beam that's keeping this fan over here going, keeping you away from the piece you need. And when that shuts off, you have a minuscule amount of time before that beam thing fills that meter back up and that fan starts again. So you have to block that. It shuts that off. You then jump off those 2, land in that fan. It blows your ass halfway across the level. And then you can shoot over real quick and get the piece if you're quick enough. And it's like, Jesus.
I remember that one taking me a while. And yeah, that's kind of what you're doing in this game is you're solving these puzzles and you're collecting these pieces that look like Tetris pieces. And those Tetris pieces you collect are then in turn used to solve additional puzzles later. it's kind of an interesting way they set that all up.
There were some times that I spent more time on door puzzles than I did on actual puzzles. Like, just trying to get those pieces to fit right. I would be like, I would get it set up perfectly where all I needed was a Z piece.
Yeah,
but that's not the piece I had. I had an L piece. And it was like, how did I get this where I could perfectly fit in a Z piece right there? And I don't even have a Z piece in this entire thing. How did I do? I don't understand.
The most frustrating was when you would set it up and be like, I have the L, but I would have had to need the other L.
Yeah. Like, how did y'all end up doing these? Did you really think them through, or did you just kind of...
I started to get to the point where I was starting to learn things about them, and at least could set up, like, enough of it going that it didn't just feel like trial and error. Like, it felt like I was like, I know that this kind of piece can only fit against this, so I'll have to build out from that, and I need this, so if I start moving this shape piece, then I can maybe shuffle things around and we'll see where they go. But it still did feel like I was getting better at it, but I was never absolutely confident in it,
Yeah, I absolutely brute forced those puzzles, man. I was just like, I'm going to slam all my pieces down and then just move them around until I find a way that works.
I felt like I was getting better at them, but I never felt like I was good at them.
I feel like I was like a happy medium between the two of you. Like, I would brute force it until I started I would glance over the pieces and be like, okay, I can guess that this is going to be in the corner. And then I would build from there. And then if it would get to the point where I'm like, motherfucker, and then I started going the Nate where I'm just throwing pieces and I'm like, okay, you fit there, motherfucker. No, you fit there. And eventually it would work.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing is you collect those Tetris pieces throughout the other levels, and then you use those to unlock doors or unlock additional mechanics in the game. So the game starts off where much more simple puzzles. Like, the first thing you end up doing in the game is you have a thing that will stop basically another functioning object. So, like, there's these electronic doors. If you set this jammer up against it, it will stop the door and you can open the door and get around it. So a lot of the beginning puzzles were like, we jam a few things so we can find the next jammer to jam things and get through the puzzles that way. And as you progress through the game, you unlock more and more different elements to the puzzles, which makes them in turn a lot more complicated. I believe the second one was the laser beams that we had mentioned a little bit earlier that you used to open doors. And then I think the fans, if I remember correctly, come after that.
It was either the fan or the block.
I feel like was the block ever unlocked? I think the block was always just there.
I mean, I think you had to unlock the block.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe the block came next. I can't remember exactly the order of everything.
It doesn't matter.
And then another thing was the fans. And then there was one, and this is where I thought the game started to lose me a little bit because I didn't like the last couple mechanics in it.
The recorder.
The recorder, where
I really did not enjoy that mechanic at all.
And the platform, where the platform was the most contrived, convoluted of all of them, where basically what you had to do for the platform was it had to be used in conjunction with the time stopper thing, and what it was you could carry this platform over your head while you were recording, and then replay time, and you could use that platform as a platform. I just thought that was real convoluted and silly.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a mechanic for the sake of a mechanic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I feel like there was a lot of purity to the jammer and the reflector. And then, like, I also did actually enjoy the blocks and the fans. But I just felt like every time they added a new mechanic, there was a little bit of purity lost in it, In a way that I didn't feel that, like, Portal lost purity when it added the repulsion gel and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the recorder stuff because, like, don't get me wrong, when you start getting into the tower, and it's much more annoying. But when they first introduced it, a couple of those puzzles really use it well. And I do enjoy it. But my thing is, like, as the game goes on and you get the more mechanics, it's like you start to get used to them. So they have to make the puzzles harder and harder and more ridiculous and more. And I would like to meet the people who designed some of these and, like, just find out what did they use to design this? How did they figure out okay, this is what we're going to do with this, and people aren't going to be able to figure it out, or like, how did they figure it out at all?
I feel like a lot of it was probably based on overhead views and just, building red herrings into a puzzle and working backwards from there. Because I do feel like there's also a certain point in the game where you start to run into red herrings in puzzles that make things just almost more artificially difficult.
Yeah, there's especially a few examples of bad red herrings in the tower. One of them really kind of pissed me off. Because, turns out I could just kind of ignore half the puzzle if I just ignored just one part of it. I was like, I'm not too happy with you for that.
And the game does try to teach you that fairly early on. There's a puzzle in the first world out of the out of the 4 buildings. One of the built puzzles very early on, although it's a red puzzle, so it's immediately optional, is called Deception. And it's basically there to teach you, hey, you don't need to actually get the lights all up to one of these. You're trying to get most of them and then light up the other one with a jammer or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, that... I mean, just because you've told me that we don't have to use every block to play the puzzle doesn't mean that, I don't know. It feels like there's a little bit of cruelty to adding a bunch of unnecessary parts on one end of the puzzle that don't ever get used.
And then you want to talk about some shit, because now I can kind of get into this, since we're kind of just freeform chatting about it. Like, Willie, at some points, you saw the gold stars around, I'm sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. There are some puzzles, and I sent a screenshot of this as an example to Nate, because I don't think you were quite as far as us at the point. But in order to get one of the gold stars, you have to shoot a laser beam from one puzzle to another.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case, because I saw definitely a couple of them that had red receivers without any red lasers or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just really didn't care.
Yeah,
set the door up.
See, with those, I thought there was going to be a mechanic unlocked where you could change the color of the laser with one of the reflector kind of things. And that's kind of what I thought. So I thought, oh, this is something to come back for. But no, it was like you said, you had to set up something from one puzzle to go all the way out to another puzzle. And the one thing about it was the stars, which we're talking about, were completely optional. They're an additional collectible. The other puzzles are all locked behind gates and things. There's
a point to it,
but they're optional. They're for an additional ending, whatever. But the reason I decided not to go for the stars too is because the rest of the puzzles are segmented off to where you know where each piece is. It tells you this is where you get the red L piece. I'm like, okay, cool. The stars, it just tells you there's stars somewhere in the area without telling you where they are. And it's a lot more of a scavenger hunt at that point than puzzle solving, just to find where the star is. And then once you find where the star is, you have to do some ridiculous garbage to get to it.
There's also, if you want the achievement, this is just for Chivo hunters, there are terminals hidden in some of the levels, outside of the puzzles and stuff. And there are also those floating tapes that are the woman's voice, who is one of the people working in this place. I think maybe even the designer of it. There are those hidden out there too that are also just a collectible to go and find. So I would say, that there are scavenger hunt elements to this. If you go out and you're wanting to find that type of stuff, you're going to have to hunt for it. For example, that axe that you get. Yeah. You just randomly find it in the 3rd building, there's an axe, and you can use that to break down wood doors and stuff. But in certain worlds you go into, there will be wood doors and things, but you can't bring the axe in there with you because it goes away as you enter. So somewhere hidden in that level is something you can use to break that open, and then go in there and get whatever collectible or hidden thing is in there. So there are deeper levels to it, but at the end it's did it need that? I don't know. That's up for debate.
Yeah, and I get the idea that it was trying to test you and be okay, can you defy the intended programming or whatever and really think outside the box? But ultimately, it's a puzzle game that a human being programmed, and we're still just thinking inside of your box.
Yeah. and as the game progresses, you're getting these declarations from Elohim, who's just go forth, my child, do my puzzles, and I will grant you eternal life and whatever the fuck. In the 3rd building, there's the big shiny doors. But the other side though, 'cause that's your god. Like you said, the Milton Library. That's almost considered like the QR codes that are hidden throughout. So like throughout the game, you just see QR codes on the wall, and when you like highlight them and like look over them and stuff, it'll display a little message like somebody had left. And there are a few different people that always pop up, and they mentioned the serpent in the terminal.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very biblical, and it is absolutely. The terminal is constantly asking you, like, why are you listening to this voice that's just telling you what to do? Why do you so blindly follow him? You know, like, do you even exist? What is existence? What, like, and it starts asking you all these types of things, like the things that the devil would have asked you in the biblical garden when you take the fruit of knowledge and things like that. And it's just like, I don't know. I really liked it. I'm curious what you guys thought of the overall, like the arcing story of Willie, of what you've seen, and then Nate, I know you beat it. Which ending did you get, by the way?
I got the ending where I woke up in the real world as a robot and walked outside.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the canonical ending, or considered the good ending.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured it was because what I did was I played through completion I beat all the puzzles in the game and then climbed the tower and did all that part of it. Interesting. I have a question. When did you guys decide in game, not in real life, that you wanted to turn your back on God?
Hey there, you wonderful listeners. I have a question for you. Do you want to make a podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place and for free. How can you beat that? It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here is how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, there are Q&A and poll options available, and those are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it has made doing my shows like the Steam Machine Podcast, Yabs Pod, and the JRPG Report much, much easier to do. Like, being able to just go on there, record them, upload it, boom, it's done. I don't have to pay for a site service to host or anything like that. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today.
Well, I'll use my first playthrough because this playthrough I was pretty much listening to him just to see the different side of it. But on my first playthrough, it was when the computer started being like, and I hate that I'm saying that, it was like the computer, like the devil got to me, but he did, because he was like, why are you just listening to this dude? What is pushing you forward to just blindly follow this voice that's talking to you? Why? And I started asking myself, it's a good question. Why do I do this in any video game? Why do I even play video games?
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden I'm having an existential crisis because the devil and the computer's talking to me.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember I pissed the devil off in my playthrough because he kept asking me questions. I was like, no, I'm going to push every button that's me asking him a question now. And it popped up an achievement for me saying like questioning the devil or something, and I was like, got him. But
I'll be honest, I played nice with both factions. Like, very early on, I decided, I don't trust either of you, so I'm just going to keep my options open until I see an exit.
Yeah.
So I guess that probably tells you something about my personality.
For me, the moment I knew I was done with God was I was in this one really difficult puzzle, and I knew I was almost at the solution. And then all of a sudden, this voice, my child, if a puzzle is too difficult, you can still progress with other puzzles. Feel free to leave this one and return another time. And I'm just like, fuck you, God, I won't do what you tell me. And I was like, I hate this guy.
He's being a pushy bitch.
He knows I'm about to solve this puzzle, and he doesn't want me to.
You're too smart for him. You got him.
Yeah, I will say, I happily did solve every puzzle in the game to beat the game to completion as I did without using any sort of guide.
That's impressive, sir. So I need you to help me out then. Because the puzzle that made me be like, you know what? I already beat this game once. Was there's one where it's just it's a square room, and then there's a smaller square room in the middle. It's got 3 windows. And you got to use there's a red laser with 2 or 3 red ports that open doors and stuff. There is I don't even think there's a jammer. No, yeah, there's a single jammer, I believe. And there's one other one. And you have to, so the blue port that you need to get the beam to is across these 2 windows and to the right. The red beam for that is across these 2 windows to the left. So there is literally, that I could see, no way to get those 2 to not cross.
I think I might have run into the puzzle you did, and it turns out you can just go a little bit behind everything. There's like a back door kind of.
How far? How far did you get, Willie? Because this was in the 3rd tower. Did you get to the 3rd tower?
I didn't do any of the puzzles in the 3rd building. No.
Or building? Yeah, sorry. No. Okay. I think I know the one you're talking about, where you had to loop it around the 2 pillars. Yeah. To kind of go behind each other. Yeah. No, this one. I don't know how to describe it. Like this one, there's no possibility for that. Like I don't know. It's very. It stumped me. It legit stumped me.
I don't know. That might have been one of the ones that I spent like 45 minutes trying to figure out, because there were some puzzles.
Have you tried turning it off and back on again?
I do remember sending you a screenshot of it, Nate, and you replying like, "That one took me a while."
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck. And then it took me a while longer, and I still didn't figure it out, so I gave up.
I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of starting to feel a little glad I didn't bang my head against these puzzles as long as I could have.
Yeah, and especially in your case, I'm glad you didn't either, because like you were starting a new job and doing all that stuff. Like me, I started the game like almost as soon as we finished recording the last podcast. And I was like, I just want to... And I started really getting into it really hardcore, so it wasn't a problem. But in a way, it was a problem, because I did start having Talos principle dreams.
Nice.
Yeah, I meant to ask you about this. Like,
yeah, let's hear some more about that.
Please, yeah, elaborate, because I love / hate when I have video games dreams. So I'm curious if you have the same problem that I have.
I absolutely hate when I have video game dreams, like for things like this, because the last time it happened was when I was playing NGU Idol way too much.
Yeah, you literally quit playing the game after that.
Mm-hmm. Which was glad this game had an ending, so I could stop playing it, and I haven't had the dream since.
Hey, NGU Idol does have an ending. It's just 2 years into the game, I think.
But no, like with this, I was just having dreams where I was walking around like very Grecian, like ornamented areas, carrying around jammers and lasers, and having to solve these puzzles myself. But they were like all never-ending puzzles kind of things, because it was just shit my brain was concocting while I was asleep. I just remember just doing that for hours in one room. I was like, oh God. When I woke up, I was like, oh, thank God I'm not still playing Talos Principle. Like, those were not very good rusty nights. You know what I mean?
You poor son of a bitch. I know exactly what you mean. That happens to me every time I have a marathon session of Civilization. If I play Civ 4, 5, or 6, I haven't really messed with the other ones, but like any of those, if I play for like 4 or 5 hours, which I'm known to do, when I get into a Civ game, I will sit there and play Civ for 10 hours. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I will go to sleep and have a turn that never ends. And I'm constantly trying to get all my people to do something, and I'm freaking out about it, and I have anxiety the entire time. And I wake up with anxiety, which, for people who know, waking up with an anxious stomach, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to run to the bathroom and throw up. And what sucks about that is it's all stomach acid. Yeah. It's always rough, bro. So I have to like limit myself. If I'm playing Civilization, I'm going to play it during the day. If I'm playing it at night, that's just me hoping for the best.
Yeah, there's like it doesn't happen all the time. Like I've been playing a ton of Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not having Legend of Zelda dreams, like you know what I mean. But like some games just hit your brain in a certain way that I guess it's probably a bit of a stress thing too. Because like I think that's part of the reason why I like game like Talos Principle because it stressed me out a little bit while I was playing it. So I think there's a little bit of that involved.
Because you get that stress release when you figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, it's problem solving 101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that probably has a lot to do with that kind of reaction and why it would kind of bury itself in your subconscious to make you dream about it. Like I wasn't having dreams about the storyline or anything like that. It was just the action of solving puzzles over and over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of like the same thing with Civ. It's never me winning or anything like that. It's me trying to build my civilization the best. So I'm like stressing out over, okay, does this city need a monument? Or does it need a granary? Okay, what about this city? What about this?
I'm a little too close to Cleopatra's burger. She's gonna yell at me.
Yeah.
She's gonna bitch. Oh God, we gotta keep Gandhi happy. Everybody keep Gandhi happy.
For the love of God.
For the love of all that's holy, if Gandhi's in your game, keep him happy. Man, I do want to say that there were some nifty mods for this game that I never got to experience because apparently all of this fucking mods on the Steam Workshop just don't work anymore. But there were a few. I'm going to go browse them real quick so I can tell you. Where is the Talos Principle? I had it pulled up and then I clicked off of it to talk about something else. There we go. So one of the ones I can remember right offhand. So the floating ball droid things that don't explode, the ones that just go back and forth.
Yeah.
There was one that turned those into a Pokeball.
Aw.
Right?
And then clearly you have to turn the ones that do explode into a Voltorb, right?
Randomly, there is a mod to make your character that you play as Neptune or Nepgear from the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. Like, that is the most random thing. Don't know why.
Gamers.
There's also a mod to make your character RoboCop. There's a mod that does different colors. There's one that make the turrets look like the turrets from Portal, which awesome. There's also one that make you look like Chell from Portal.
Nice. Yeah, those make a lot of sense to me.
And before the official DLC, there was a mod that makes your character look like Serious Sam. And the last one that I loved, of course, was a mod that turns all of the cubes into companion cubes. So just like little random shit, none of them work.
Oh.
None. I could not get one of them to
maybe
work.
some update broke all the old mods or whatever.
Maybe when they released the actual
to be.
DLC.
That's a possibility. It just broke them. One of the DLC probably just broke it, and everybody's like, "Meh, that game's old."
Right.
But
Blame
here's
yourself,
what.
God.
When Talos Principle 2 comes out, I'm gonna be impressed if there's another like Neptune, some kind of Neptunia crossover. I'm just gonna be like, hell yeah, I'll check that mod out. I do want to say, through this playthrough, my Elohim was not normal. I have the Serious DLC, which you can change the look of your character to make you kind of look like Serious Sam. So if you go into third person in this game, because there is first person and third person, you kind of just look like a robot. If you use the Serious DLC, it puts the little bomb logo on your back, kind of makes your upper a little white, it makes your legs blue, and it makes your hands yellow. So it's like you kind of look like you're wearing the Sam gear.
Nice.
And there's also a thing that makes Elohim talk like Sam. Hey, welcome in. You know, so like I believe it's in the second building B, where you go in and it's a bunch of desert levels. You first walk into there. He goes, "All right, we got to have a talk, Crow Team. What is it with you in desert levels? I mean, every game, there's always a desert level." He just is like ripping in them about their deserts and sand. He's like, "I'm tired of the sand in my ass," or whatever he says. There's also like a lot of puns where he's like, "You could say that this isn't our first encounter." In fact, and he'll be like, "In fact, you can go buy Serious Sam first encounter." It just cracks me up. If you're ever going to do a second playthrough on the Talos Principle, I highly recommend doing the Elohim voice of Sam. It's tremendous.
I will say, during my playthrough, I ran into one really weird Easter egg. I feel like it was an Easter egg or something. It's like I was in this, I think it was in Building C, and there was like this church building looking thing, and I walked into, there was a door up front. I was like, it'd be really funny if I could go through this door. Literally walked through the door, and it took me into this room where there was just this, like, kind of looked like a 1920s mobster guy with a pile of money, just going, money, money.
That's absolutely an Easter egg. I had no idea that existed.
And I was just like, what am I looking at right now? It was just like the most bizarre thing. And I was like, okay, Talos Principle, you bunch of weirdos. Actually, I have a screenshot of it.
Do you?
Yep. Let me paste it.
Let me see.
In the group chat real quick. Not the group chat, but the show chat.
Huh.
It even has like a stock scrap behind him.
Fork Parker.
This is going in out of context.
Yeah. Some of the other Easter eggs, like I believe in World A7, there's an SOS on the far right of the shore. If you just go running around the level, you can see a giant SOS. There's a terminal you can find with the blue screen of death.
I did find that too.
Let's see some of the. I'm just scrolling through these. There's a developer island that you can find in the hub in front of level 7 teleporter. Go through the wall on the other side of the hub where a teleporter would be if there was another level between 6 and the one blocked by wood. That was hard.
To see, like, part of me was wondering if I'd like discovered something. It was like maybe they were referencing like the 7 deadly sins, and this guy was like greed. And I was wondering if there was like 6 more that you could run into, because that kind of would have fit the theme a little bit, I felt like.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even think about that. You could find a Pac-Man in World B3. You can find Sam's room in World B6. I'm looking for the mobster guy. Yeah, Fork Parker and money. World C2 from the teleporter. Go straight ahead into the red door of the chapel-looking building, and it is not solid. Yeah, and that is apparently Fork Parker is a character in one of the Serious Sam games.
Oh, okay, Crow Team.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't know if we've touched on that yet. This game started as a proof of concept for the engine that they were going to use for Serious Sam 3. And they were like, hey, what if we made a puzzle game? That would be cool. And then they just did it.
They made a puzzle game.
They did. And when we eventually get around to Serious Sam 3,
we'll see how it plays.
We'll see how it plays. Oh, shit. Oh, it doesn't matter. I guess technically my next host pick should be a Serious Sam game because of the year coming up. But we can wait. We can postpone that.
Okay.
Because I'm very curious what you're going to pick. And I need to know. So is there anything else that you guys would like to touch on about this game? Like, I don't want to dive terribly too much in the story because A, I know Willie hasn't beat it, and B, people might be interested in checking it out.
I think it's worth checking out for the story. If the whole philosophical thing appeals to you, I don't want to kind of give the whole thing away. So check it out.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those like DDLC. You should just experience it for the most impact.
Yeah. And I don't think we gave away too much of it to take away the impact that it would have.
I was literally just about to say, I think we've covered enough where we've left enough on the table that it's still worth going out and checking out for yourself. Other than just the puzzles. Some of those puzzles, man, just be prepared.
Yeah.
Just be prepared.
It'll start off, you're like, oh, this game's freaking easy. What are these guys talking about? They suck. And then you're like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Unless you just are a savant and we are idiots. So, you never know.
And that is totally possible. That is totally possible. All right, then. I guess that just leaves ratings. So, what would you give this? Let's start with Will. Will, what would you give this?
Why do you always have me lead? That's probably I had to lead the last one.
All right, Nate. What about you? What would you give this game?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good game. I like the way that it handled the puzzles for the most part. I think it kind of started losing some steam at the end. I think it might have honestly overstayed its welcome just a touch. Not too bad, but just a little bit. I like the story. I don't think I was as blown away by it as you might have wanted me to be, Dalton. I thought it was good.
No, that's fine.
Like, not too incredible, but I think it overall was a really good game and a really good package. So for me, I'm giving this like 8 platforms out of 10 Serious Sams.
Okay. While I'm thinking about it, you made it to the tower. You remember the 2 other entities in the tower. So those were 2 of the people that you were reading QR codes from.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire game. Like, blew my mind when I first figured that out. Sorry, I meant to mention that earlier.
I picked that up immediately.
I was just like...
One thing we didn't mention, though, real quick, while we're still talking about my rating, I like the fact that if your friends have played it before, you can get their QR codes and see stuff that they had written, because I ran into Dalton's, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I found one from Dane, and I found one from Turtle Bear Man. You know, what was funny is I sent a screenshot of Dane, or to Dane, of the one that I found of him, and he replied back and he goes, I was about to ask you if you meant to post this in screenshots, and then I actually looked at it.
Nice. Yeah, so that's my 8 out of 10. There you go.
All right. Well, I'll go next. I'll make Willie go last. Coming back to this game, I guess because I knew everything in it already, as far as the story goes and stuff, it didn't quite have the impact on me as it did the first time that I played it. I still really enjoyed the puzzles, and I really think that graphically this game holds up way better than it should be. This game looks better than Lord of the Rings Gollum.
No shit, it looks way better.
Like, way better. Like, a little fucking whoa, way better. And I like this game enough that one day I will buy Road to Gehenna and check that out, just to see new puzzles. You know what I mean? Because the point I got to the game, I remembered how annoying the tower was, and climbing the tower and doing all those tight corridor puzzles and stuff. And I was like, I don't feel like doing that again. The core of my enjoyment is that first 2/3 of the game is beautiful. I do want to say, the distinct ending, to give you the difference in the endings without giving away what the endings are, because Nate, I think you touched on what you saw, but that was about it. There is text that scrolls on the screen, and there is one significant one that will either say passed or failed. And if it says failed, congratulations, you got the bad ending of the game. If it says passed, congratulations, you made the right decision and you got the good ending of the game. So, well, I guess good in quotes, because it's a very ominous. Yeah. It's very ominous.
I wonder what the sequel's going to be like for this game, TBH.
I am very hyped for the sequel. Because think about how good this game looks for a 2014 game. The new game is going to look, it's probably going to make my computer melt.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. It could come out looking like Lord of the Rings. So I'm gonna give, I don't remember what I gave this. I should have went back and looked at what I gave this originally. But I'm gonna give it an 8 as well. I'm gonna give it 8 principles out of 10 vice principals.
Yeah.
I like that.
And while you're giving your wrap up, I'm gonna look for that thing that Brian made that has all the ratings on it.
Yep, fair enough. So this game had a lot to like, and also felt like it had a lot of bloat. It definitely, like, it does a lot of things really well. There's a lot of really good writing in it. There's a lot of really unnecessary, Doom 3 PDA type of just, here is an email to let you know that there were people involved in this, in case you didn't think that the people were people. And, like, the puzzles, like, there was, like, ridiculously easy tutorial puzzles and ridiculously hard puzzles and then, like, solid puzzles. And I feel like graphically there are a lot of cool things. Like, I think I'm going to give this game the rating of very strong recommendation if you like this genre, absolutely missable if you're not interested in the subject matter or the style of game, and call it a 7.5.
Sounds fair.
That does sound fair.
All right. Did you find your rating?
I found the file. Let me
Control F.
browse it
Talos.
real quick. I originally gave this game a 9.95.
Wow.
Because I remember at one point, me and Ryan were given ridiculous number ratings, I think. Like 7.246 and things like that. So, yeah, it got a 9.95. Ryan gave it a 10.
Okay. Alrighty.
I think it's very good. I don't think it's borderline perfect.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, especially when the most obvious comparison is Portal. It's just a game with no fat on its bones whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, I mean, considering that the most obvious 2 points to compare them on are puzzle design and writing, I think Portal's just way tighter on both of those.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that coming back. But you got to remember, too, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This was the 10th game we did.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm not saying that's a bad review. I think that just you didn't have your skull calibrated yet.
Yeah.
Word up.
Yeah, dude, we're almost 3 years into this bitch now.
I know. Me and Willie have been here longer than we haven't at this point, I think. It's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah.
But you boys ready to roll into our fan questions?
Let's get it.
Yeah.
What was that, Don?
Let's get it.
All right. The first question comes in from Adam. What's up, Adam? What is the best made and worst made puzzle in a video game?
The worst puzzle in a video game is the cat hair mustache puzzle from, I think, Gabriel Knight 2.
That's a good answer. It has to be, I was thinking something completely different, but now that you say stuff like that, it has to just be anything from a point and click adventure game. So I'm going to say the puzzle in, what was that one? Full Throttle, where you had to climb the tower and move the levers to pick up the car.
Oh, that was really annoying, yeah.
Yeah.
That's mine. Worst.
Okay, so we're all going to go point and click adventure. Broken Sword. The fucking goat.
You had to do what to a goat?
Like,
I know the puzzle you're talking about.
you had to. Now, in the words of Bob Saget, you look like a goat fucker. Don't fuck goats. They eat tin cans and shit. They'll bite your dick right off. The best puzzle.
Yeah, the best.
Man. So the one that immediately jumped to my mind, and I don't know if this would be the best, arguably, but this is the first one that popped into my head when I read that. Do you guys remember the puzzle? And I think it was Portal 2, where you had to climb the tower
Damn it.
using the portals, and like having to like use the. Was that really the one you were gonna say, dude? That's such a good puzzle.
Yeah, I love that. Was the first one that jumped in my mind too, because like you had to come up with creative ways to use momentum and 2 different color portals. Like, oh god, it's so good.
Yeah, totally agree.
That was my answer too.
What you will?
The maze of twisty passages all alike. It's a puzzle from the game Adventure, like Colossal Cave, and basically the only way you can figure out how things connect to each other is by dropping an item in each room and then kind of writing down which way it goes. And each direction doesn't necessarily take you back to the same room. So if you go up and then down, or if you go northwest and then southeast, you don't necessarily go back to the same room. So you have to kind of write down every single exit. And it's like a weird way to create a maze that could only have possibly worked in a computer game format, despite the fact that it was like, like the 1970s when they made it.
Nice.
Well, that's super cool.
Right.
I remember, this is just the fact that it was a maze reminded me of it. A buddy of mine, Joey, was making a RPG Maker game one time. And he made a forest that you had to go a specific direction.
Like the Lost Woods in Zelda.
Yeah, exactly what he based it on was the Lost Woods in Zelda. But he named it the Konami Forest.
Oh, so you had to go up, up, down, down, left and right, and left and
I
right.
like that.
Yeah.
That's cute.
That's very good.
Yeah, and I was like, bro, that's brilliant. And I don't know if he ever did anything else with it, but he made that, and I was like, bro, I really like that. You do more, and he never did.
Nice. All right. So our next question comes in from Team Retrogue. Check him out on YouTube. Do you have any games on your phone, and do you actually play them? Dalton.
Yes. I have an idle game on my phone that I've really enjoyed. In fact, I don't know if he listens to this show, but shout out to JRPG Report, Discord member, Patreon member, and listener, Kularian. He told me about a phone game that he plays called Grimoire. And it's just a little idle like tapper game, and it just builds up numbers and stuff. It's, NGU idle for your phone.
Yeah.
And I really like it. I also play one called Cats and Soup.
Cats and Soup.
Which is just an idle game where these cute little animated little cats, they're just making soup and making food and stuff, and you run a little thing. I also, for a while I was fucking around with these little games that they're so stupid, and I paid money to make the ads go. It was one of those games where I enjoyed playing it enough because it was monotonous that I paid to make it have no ads because it was throwing ads at me every 30 seconds. And that was Pixel Demolish. And then I have Raid Shadow Legends on my phone. I don't ever really load it into it, but I do have it because every now and then I'm on the toilet for a long period of time and just feel like playing an RPG. And then I have some fishing games.
Nice.
Because this show and fishing is synonymous.
Right. Weirdly enough,
or fishing games at least. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I have 2 games on my phone that I actually play. I have a few others, ones that I used to play, and ones that I think I'm going to play at some point that I never will. But the 2 that I actually play are Pokemon Go. I don't think I need to describe that one to anybody. And Sonic Dash, which is kind of like a temple runny type game with Sonic characters.
Yeah, I used to play a lot more phone-based games, and I just kind of fell off of most of them. So lately, if I'm pulling out my phone to just kind of kill some time, the 2 main things I do is there's a Microsoft Solitaire suite that's available for phone that has Klondike, Free Cell, Spider, and then 2 bad games that I don't like to play. And then I also play a lot of just randomly pulling up a chess, the chess.com app, which I think is just called Chess on iPhone, and playing against the random bots on there. Especially the beginner bots, and just kind of, I got 5 minutes, let me embarrass a beginner bot.
Nice.
I mention this all the time when we talk about mobile games, but I got to give a shout to 2 games that aren't around anymore because their developer, or the people that were, keeping them running and everything, they went under. But Hellfire, The Summoning, and the game Blood Brothers.
I think you literally mentioned these on either the last episode or the one before that.
They're both, and I won't go into detail about them. It's just they were my favorite phone games ever, and it was during that heyday where the microtransactions weren't egregious. It was just pay for no ads, and that was it. Yeah. And they were so good, and they're gone forever. You can find the APKs, but you just can't connect to the server to play. Sucks.
Yeah. All right. This next one also is from Team Retro. Zelda Ocarina of Time. Tell me how you really feel.
Have it on 3DS, played it for about 2.5 hours and went, well, that was about it.
Yeah, I think it's a product of its time. I think it was a really important game, and it did a lot for the genre of making worlds bigger and bigger and bigger. Because when that game first came out and you walked out into the open plain leaving Kakariko Village, everything felt so big and open and wide. Ooh, buddy, it does not feel like that as an adult. When we have, trails, good God, Tears of the Kingdom and Skyrim, it just does not feel big anymore.
And that's what I was going to say is that, my first big jump from, those types of games was the first time I loaded up Oblivion and walked out of the sewer, and it was just boom. Here's this entire world. Go do whatever you want. And it was what? And I get that Ocarina of Time. It's kind of like when you go back to those, so Grand Theft Auto 3. You're man, that game was so cool. And you go back now and there's 10 pedestrians randomly strolling about, maybe 2 cars in traffic. Not a lot going on, right? Compared to when you load up GTA 5 and there's realistic traffic and pedestrians roaming around and stuff. It's wild.
Yeah.
I think it was a good game. I mean, that's a controversial opinion. I know I'm very brave for saying it.
Yeah, it was a good game.
I liked it. It doesn't mean I really go back and revisit a lot of those very transitional games.
Yeah.
Listen. Hey, listen.
No. The next one comes in from Team Retro. If you were to actually buy one of the handhelds I seem to have a crippling addiction to collecting, which one would it be? Steam Deck excluded. You bastard.
Fucker.
Dude.
Does the Switch OLED count? Because that looked really nice.
Got him on a technicality. You've covered so many, and they all have such hard to remember names. One name that I remember was like the Odin one. I remember that one looking pretty cool, so I'm going to go with the Odin.
I also don't remember names, but I would trust your judgment, and I would ask you which one of these emulates PlayStation 1 the best,
Yeah.
and which one of those supports the biggest memory card, and that's all I need to know, or SD card or whatever. That's what I need to know.
Yeah.
And I'll buy that one.
Good enough. All right. Just because I'm tired of saying his name a million times in a row, I'm going to skip down to another one. This one's from Jeff. Is The Legend of Zelda an RPG, or is it an adventure/puzzle? I think it's an adventure game with RPG elements. It's not an RPG, but it's more of an action-adventure.
That's what I was going to say, is an action adventure with puzzle. Yeah.
The difference between action RPG and adventure game is so razor thin that it really doesn't matter, and I don't care.
Fair enough. Will is getting sleepy and grumpy. Our next question.
Maybe a little sleepy. I wasn't being grumpy. I think that a lot of times genre-related questions are just kind of hair-splitting that, I don't know. I don't know how it matters.
Yeah.
I always just associate RPGs with leveling up your character, like stat-wise.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case.
Well, you can gain health points.
Yeah. And stamina. Our next
And inventory and weaponry and...
Next question from Team Retro. If you absolutely have to be outside, what's your favorite outside location? Nikolov, I like being outside, so I'm happy being outside, but my favorite place to be is in the woods, just walking a trail. It's just a happy place for me.
I also like walking trails and stuff. Let's see. That or just like chilling out under the stars somewhere with a not a lot of light pollution.
A controversial opinion. I like fishing, so put me on a lake.
Yeah, being on the lake's great too.
I kind of miss being just out in city streets at night, having all the lights out. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. All right. This one also is from our buddy Team Retrogue. How do you predict your video games habits changing in the next 5 years? Honestly, bud, I'm in my mid to late 30s. They haven't changed much in the last 5 years. They're not going to change much in the next 5 years. It's just going to keep going this way.
I might start picking up more odd systems to start trying out that I never got into when I was younger. I've never played any Intellivision games or anything like that, but I think that's just going to be it. It's just going to be getting more specific into the weird bullshit I already like.
Hell yeah.
This question highly depends on if I'm ever a stepdad or not. Because, like, being a single dude, like, if I end up with a chick that's got a kid, that might hinder some gaming time. But, like, other than that, on my habits, I mean, I don't think I'm going to try to force myself to beat games anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there for a while for the show, I was like, I have to beat every game we play, because that was, like, one of the things I started. Like, I'm going to beat games. But now, I just want to, like, play them and enjoy them. And if I happen to like it enough to beat it, I'm going to beat it.
Yeah.
And... yeah, so, but I mean, like I said, if I ever end up with a chick with a kid or kids, let me put a quote on that, because who knows these days. I might play a little less than I do now, because I do play quite a bit of video games these days, but I kind of lately been doing a lot of singing and stuff, so hell, I don't know.
Play Fortnite with the kids. Come on, man.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I would be playing games with the kids, obviously, just not, I'm not going to be like, hey, you're 6, you want to play Divinity Original Sin? But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. This next one comes in from our boy Chadwich. Hey fellas, have y'all seen the anime Record of Ragnarok? It's about the gods and all faiths and mythology having one-on-one fights to the death with the greatest of humans of history. For example, the first match is between Thor, god of thunder, and Lu Bu, the Chinese general. It's some good campy fun. Anyways, my question is, other than Kratos, which video game character would you champion to kill a god?
Well, I feel like this is definitely one of those ones where I would usually jump right in and pick the Doomslayer, because I'm pretty sure canonically at this point he's killed enough major level demons and stuff, and probably in the newer games like god level characters, that he's probably up there. But that's actually not my answer.
Ooh.
I would take someone that has a certified god body count. Kirby.
Damn it! That's who I was picking too.
Got him.
Yeah, Kirby is a god slayer. He's a badass.
I mean, I could just say, like, insert JRPG.
I was also thinking that, because they all go to kill God at the end of every video game.
But if I had to pick a character, just because, like, of how much he is just, like, the embodiment of hunting and slaying something, and, like, you prep, you get your oils. You know, maybe there's like an oil that the god is weak against. You fucking lather your sword up with it and shit. And my answer is Geralt of Rivia. Let me see that Witcher go out there and witch himself a god.
I like it.
It could happen.
I like it. I'm going to go a little bit oddball with this one, because I just think it'd be a fun fight. I don't think they're going to win. It didn't say they have to win. I want Dan Hibiki to fight a god. Dan from Street Fighter.
Oh,
You know what,
last
though?
name, sorry.
The wildest part is I can actually see Dan Hibiki, like, throwing out his wacky-ass little Shoryuken variation and absolutely crushing Dagoth as he goes, I'm a god! How can you kill a god?
That's also true. We didn't say which god. So yes, I want Dan to beat the shit out of Dagoth. I love it.
what a strange and intoxicating innocence. I'll show you intoxicating.
Got a couple more questions, and then we're going to go into our fewer people wrote in with some of their favorite memories from the show, because this is basically our 3-year anniversary. So a few more questions, we'll get to memories. This one's from Master Loot, and I think we kind of covered this in the episode a little bit, but how difficult is it to find side collectibles in Talos Principle? Extremely at times.
Yeah, it can be very hard. Yeah. You got to do some serious logical thinking sometimes to get where you're looking to go.
This next one is from Jerf, Mr. Syllables. What are your top 3 games and bottom 3, excluding Blair Witch, because we know that's bottom of the barrel? I kind of already thought about this one a little bit, and I went with all show picks, so things we've played for the show. So my bottom 3, since I can't pick Blair Witch, are Dragon, a game about a dragon, Gex, and I'm trying to remember Duke Nukem Manhattan Project.
Oh, fuck, we did play that, didn't we? What a forgettable game.
So those are my bottom 3. My top 3 were also played for the show, which you guys probably know what they are before I even say them.
Is it Hollow Knight, Dragon Quest XI, and Yakuza 0?
It sure as fuck is.
Damn, I forgot about Hollow Knight. I was thinking it was going to be Trails and then those other 2. But what about you, Will?
I mean, I guess my top 3 then would have to be Doom 2, Hollow Knight, even though I didn't play it for the show, and Yakuza 0.
Hell yeah.
My bottom 3, Blair Witch again. I mean, it's art, but we can't say Blair Witch, damn it. For show picks,
I really scraped the bottom of the barrel to find the 3 worst ones. You could just say that.
I don't think you did, because Dragon isn't as bad as...
I hated Dragon, dude.
Nate hated Dragon enough that I wanted to play a game called It'll Do, and he just goes, that kind of looks like that game. I don't want to play that. And It'll Do is a completely different style game of everything.
What were the 3 you said?
I said Gex, Dragon, and Duke Nukem Manhattan Project.
I'm actually surprised Battle Chef didn't make your bottom 3.
I don't think it was a bad game. It just wasn't for me.
I think that, unfortunately, unless we're counting like Halloween short games like SCP, it's going to be, I don't know, I think I'm basically stealing your list.
Yeah, it's fair.
The SCP Staircase game, though, really did not.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah. It wasn't great. Or no, we all played different versions of that, didn't we?
No, I think we ended up finding one version that we could all get.
Yeah.
But you did also find like the PlayStation looking one that was probably better.
Yeah.
So for the worst games, because that's kind of what I'm browsing. Also, quickly, we mentioned. Oh no, actually, we'll touch on that. Never mind. Sorry, ignore me. Corpse Party Blood Drive.
Yes.
Not good.
That one made you pretty mad, I feel
Yes,
like.
it did. I remember that episode. I bet I know another one. Oh god, the one from the 3 Short Games episode.
Yeah.
You would be correct, sir. Tiny Bridge
That
Rat
one.
Venture.
That one.
I remember it had rats in it, but I was going to say bad rats.
Oh,
but you definitely haven't done bad rats for the show.
Yeah.
The worst rat-related game so far.
Ugh, man. Yeah, that game was bad.
And if Ryan was here, he'd say Snake Pass.
If Ryan was here, he would absolutely say Snake Pass, even though I thought that game was charming.
Snaps.
Sorry, I'm kind of scrolling because, again,
You've done a lot more episodes than we have. It's fair.
yeah, I'm like, and we can't say Blair Witch. I liked Gex, from what I remember. It wasn't my favorite, but I have nostalgia for the series.
I didn't hate Gex or Dragon that much. It's just we didn't play a lot of really terrible games. From the
No,
show.
I think most of the terrible games happened pre-us.
Yeah. At least as far as whole week episodes.
Yeah.
Like, there were very few ones I absolutely hate fucked, except for Blair Witch and Doom 3.
I'm surprised
I
you
guess.
didn't say Outlast, Willie.
Actually, come to think of it, yeah. I'll say Outlast and Doom 3.
I'm also going to go Duke Nukem.
Yeah, that was a bad game.
Yeah, I think that...
It just...
Not only was it a bad game, but we got so mad about playing it, and we got, like, weird behind the scenes about it. Like, that one almost tore us apart.
The thing about that game was it wasn't bad enough for us to shit all over it and have a good time.
Yeah, it wasn't fun
It
enough
also
to make
wasn't
fun
good
of.
at all. So it was very mediocre in every way, and it was just bland and bad, and it was shovelware.
Yeah.
It's tainting Duke Nukem's name.
I'm so
Not
mad
that
at
his
Duke's
name's
taint
great.
right now.
My favorite games for the show. Jesus Christ.
I know, because you have Kingdom Hearts to deal with.
Yeah, but that's not in my... I don't think that's in my contention, as much as I love that game. Trails in the Sky. Yakuza 0. And here's where it gets difficult, is narrowing down that third one. Truncate Silence will handle this. You know, for the sheer amount of enjoyment that I had playing this game on my PC for the first time after playing it on my PS4, Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was so good.
Yeah.
And the fact that Spider-Man Miles Morales is now out on PC, and then now they're... Did y'all watch the trailer for Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, it looks good.
Oh, I get like a 10-minute trailer, and it was like I was just glued to my screen the whole time. It looks so good. And once that exclusivity deal is up, and they bring it on over, because, by the way, we didn't mention, quickly, they're bringing over the new Ratchet and Clank game.
Looks really
to
good.
PC.
Like, I'm excited to play that one, actually.
Oh, bro, that opens up a whole possibility of PC getting like a Ratchet and Clank collection, which opens up a possibility of us getting a Jack and Daxter collection. Which I mentioned it on the show. God damn it. It is now in the ether. That would be super cool. But I'm just hyped that they're bringing any Ratchet and Clank, because that is like, I'm so happy to see Sony bringing more of these games over that were exclusives. So they started with God of War, and then they were like, oh, this Prince money.
I think it's a sign
Okay.
of where the gaming industry is heading.
For sure. I mean, I don't think Nintendo's going to play ball, but I think everyone else is going to be moving in this direction.
Can you imagine, though?
Metroid on
Nintendo-
Steam? Yeah.
Not even on Steam. Nintendo could start their own platform on PC and make
You're not
buku money.
wrong.
Yeah, but Nintendo's way too stupid about computers and the internet to do
That's
that.
also true.
This is where we need like Sega to come in and handle this market.
Bro.
Just saying.
It's pretty bad when you're like, you know who makes better decisions with you than business does? Sega.
Sega.
Sega. All right, next question.
Okay, our next question, and the last question, comes in from Fenris. What is your What is your favorite song from any soundtrack of any game? Don't make that easy on us, Fenris. I actually do have an answer for this. It is Vampire Killer from Castlevania.
I was literally going to say Bloody Tears.
It's valid, dude. Castlevania is straight up bangers all the time.
You know what? I'm just going to take something different, though. At least get out of the same genre. Battle on the Big Bridge, Final Fantasy
very good.
5, the Gilgamesh theme.
Very good.
Well, you'd probably never see my choice coming. But my song starts off with just vocals, and it sounds something like Evos, Luces, Evos, Evos. Dude, Libere Fatalis from Final Fantasy VIII, all day.
I really thought you were
Give
making
me
a
that.
Persona 5 joke at the beginning of...
He was.
Oh, I know. I
Stardew.
swerved you.
Yeah,
I swerved you.
you got us.
Got swerved.
I pulled a Vince Russo on you.
Dang.
Oh, right.
He just took a
Don't tell
huge
Jim Cornette.
Russo and then he wiped his bishop.
Good choices, folks. I like them. All right, here comes some of the favorite memories from our people over our last 3 years. This one comes in from Mr. Syllables himself, Jeff. Still, his favorite memory is the four of us playing Phasmophobia together before his first episode he recorded with us.
Oh my god.
And I wish that was live streamed and recorded for posterity because it was so funny.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, if longtime listeners know the story, but for those of you who might be new around here, we're playing Phasmophobia. Jeff had never really played before, and we're all in there. And all of a sudden, and let me back away from my microphone when I do this. All of a sudden, Jeff just goes, "Oh my god, he's got an axe!" Ah! And then just silence. And we were like, "Oh, Jeff's dead." But he sounded so genuinely terrified. It was beautiful.
And it was just so good because, like, the way Phasmophobia works if it played is, like, you have to do, like, you have a press to talk button. So if you're talking, you have to be holding the button. And if you die, it immediately cuts off all communication between you and your team. So he was literally screaming that at us as he was getting murdered.
Yeah, it just cuts off mid-shriek.
It was so fun. It was so funny. He was just so game to just get out there and get murdered.
Yeah.
I would not mind playing that again for October this year, TVH, because it has had a lot of updates, honestly.
That's
Oh,
fair.
yeah. And we could get you to do some VR bullshit at some point, which would be funny.
I did not play VR for Talos Principle. I just didn't feel like it.
You thought about it and then you saw how long the game was and you're like, nah.
Yeah.
I could imagine it would be fun, though. Like, although you dreamed it, so you pretty much played the VR
God,
version.
maybe I didn't want to do that. Maybe it was a good choice. I'll be honest, though. I don't like VR as much as some people do. I think it's fun and a novelty, but I just don't think it's great.
It's very novelty. It's very novelty. I much prefer 360 videos in a VR thing, so I can just look around. Like, I take that over because I don't get sick. Sometimes the games make me sick. But anyway,
Sorry,
continue.
sad tangent there. This one's from Dane. His favorite memory was when he was recording with us. A lot of people recording with us have a lot of favorite memories from doing that. Was the look of realization on Willie's face during the first question on his Metal Gear quiz for the Metal Gear Revengeance episode was priceless. He was literally describing Metal Gears for an RC car in a quiz about the Metal Gear Solid franchise, and Willie experienced all 5 stages of grief in 2.3 seconds.
I don't think that's fair. I think I experienced phases that don't exist too. I went through like 11 phases of grief. I was in like absurdism and non-gronkulence and conjuring to me. Like, I was just out there. Like, the moment I realized that there were no actual relations to Metal Gear and it was literally just gears for RC cars, like, I went through so many different thoughts before I realized, oh, like,
I'm just picturing
you literally
that moment in my
force
head.
reset my brain. It's like when you pick up a cat in a certain way and set it down really hard, and the cat's just like, "Now what was I doing? Oh well."
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's really funny. That was really good, Dane. Like, you're such a bastard, and I love it.
That was a hell of a prank. I loved it. I still won that game. So I
You
don't
really
care.
did, bastard. This next one comes in from Team Retro. He actually had two. His current favorite memory is when he confused Machine Head and Radiohead. That was such a wonderful moment because Dalton got really excited. He's like, "Ooh, somebody wants to talk about Machine Head," and then he was talking about Radiohead. Then Willie got really excited because he got to talk about Radiohead.
Yeah, and I'm over here like, damn it!
And I'm just vibing.
Machine Head only put out 2 of the greatest metal albums of all time. Damn it! Whatever.
They was just waiting. Maybe they actually mean Motorhead. Maybe I could talk.
And then one of his other favorite words was when we played Kingdoms of Amalur, and the troll, he just killed parkour in mid-sneeze and died hovering in the air. I love video game glitches, dude. They're so good.
I love Eurojank so much, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And then Adam really enjoyed that last Halloween compilation episode. We covered some of out there games. It was super interesting hearing all the opinions. Yeah, I love the Halloween season when we do all those free games because it just always provides some level of weird entertainment.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is that we don't really screen them very hard when we go into them either.
Yeah, exactly.
So that means that like there's definitely a couple of them that surprise us in different directions than we thought they would surprise us.
Yeah, because like I remember like not even last year, but the one before that, where we were just kind of scrolling through itch.io and Dalton found that one horror game that was set in St. Augustine, Florida, in an asylum, and it was actually like really fucking well put together and good. And it was just like a game jam 2 day of working on it game. And it was like we were all surprised at how good that was. And then sometimes you get the stairs in the woods where you just fuck up the stairs and have to stand there for 5 minutes so something happens, and then it's just a jump scare.
And I still enjoyed that one. That's the craziest part. Like I did have a great time with that game.
The Stairs in the Woods story is so wild, and that game just did not bring that across at all.
Yeah. But thank you guys for writing in those memories, because I remember all of those. Those are all so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been hella fun recording this show with you guys.
Oh yeah.
And if you're listening to this and you didn't get any questions in and you would like to put in memories, or if you're a listener, if it's not in the Discord, you'll get the link for that later. Hit us up on social media, tag us on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and let us know. Like, I like to hear from people. Even if I've got to Google Translate what you say, that's fine. Like, I don't care. Type out however you got to. Send it to me in wingdings. I'll figure it out.
Even if you think something I said was dumb as hell, like, say it,
Yeah. Give us a 5-star review, then tell us how shitty we are.
Just make sure that's 5 stars.
That too.
Just make sure it's 5 stars.
That way we'll read it. If it's a 1-star, we won't pay attention to it. So
yeah, exactly. I haven't checked how many reviews we have in a long time. I should do that while we're doing this next little segment.
Yeah,
well, this next little segment seems very important if it's what I think it is.
I think it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go. So Nate's been between a lot of ideas for our next game. He sent us a list of 10 games he was considering, so...
Yeah, I had a list of 10 games that I was considering. I had to eliminate a couple of them because I'm going to be out of town for 4 days this week, and they're too long for me to want... Because I want to beat both of these games, but I don't want to attempt to beat it in that time period.
Okay, I know exactly the two that just got knocked off, too. Damn,
so
okay, continue.
The 10...
I lost a quarter to myself.
Sorry, buddy. So the 10 games that I have listed, these are 10 games that...
No, I didn't. Sorry, continue. I'm talking
so
about
the 10 games that I have listed that I want to play, that were all really in contention this week, were Resident Evil 2, Yakuza Kiwami 2, Turok, Dead Island, Okami, Slime Rancher, Subnautica, Tales in the Sky Second Chapter, Rayman 2, and Maneater. All wildly different games, by the way. You can see why I was struggling to decide between these. So the two that I immediately knew I had to eliminate, sadly, because I do want to play both of these really badly, were Trails in the Sky Second Chapter and Yakuza Kiwami 2. So those were the two I initially... Then I looked through the list, I was like, I don't know that I want to play an old platformer, so Rayman 2 got cut. And then Maneater sounded like the least interesting to me out of the ones I had left. So that left me with Resident Evil 2, Turok, Dead Island, Okami, Slime Rancher, and Subnautica. Subnautica...
Still a lot of bangers on this list.
Subnautica is also a little too long, so bye. So before I just not go, I got myself down to 2 last picks, and they both involve similar themes of zombies.
Oh. Huh.
So that left me with Dead Island and Resident Evil 2.
Okay. That's actually not where I thought you were going to land at
Okay.
all. This is not... I did not plan for this one.
My horse is coming around the bend.
So I wanted to...
What you got?
I struggled between these two because part of me wants to play an action game because we just solved a hell of a lot of puzzles, but this game has puzzles in it, and we're going to be playing Resident Evil 2.
Yes, I win a quarter. Yeah. All right. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I hope you don't mind about the God mode action movie the shit out of this game. Just so
Put
you
all
know,
the cheats on.
because I'm just gonna like throw on where I can't die. Like, I'll still worry about ammo and inventory and all of that, but I'm just gonna throw on where I can't die, and then I'm gonna enjoy the shit out of this. Because Resident Evil, when I was a kid, I loved the idea of the games, but I died so much because tank controls back in the day
Oh, yeah.
were not.
Because I was really sad, by the way, when Outlast 2 beat Resident Evil 2 in the fan poll for the Halloween games last year, and I feel justified because Outlast 2 sucked. And so now I'm ready to play Resident Evil 2 before Halloween.
All right.
I do own that. Cool. I'll get that installed after we get done here.
There you go, fellas.
All
That's
right,
an
then.
exciting pick, man. I definitely, if I had been asked to place a win, place, show bet, I don't think I would have made anything on that
Oh,
one.
wow.
Nate, could you
What's
do me
up,
a
bud?
favor? I need you to make a note for our next episode. I'm going to give away a couple game keys of random games because I remember us saying that we would give away some keys when we hit 10 5-star ratings. We are now sitting at 11 5-star
yeah.
ratings.
Thank
In
you,
fact,
viewers.
we only have 5-star ratings
Nice.
so far. So that's what's up. So I would like to right here at the end before we end, I want to read a couple of these that we've never read on the show before. One, from the real Mr. Puzzles. 3 cool dudes trying to narrow down that unplayed Steam game list. Great to listen to and very involved with their community. If you like talking games with your friends, you'll feel right at home listening in on these
Thanks,
guys.
Dane.
So thank
Appreciate
you, Dane.
that.
And then from Brian Doran 88. 3 rad dudes talking hilarious nonsense in video games. What more needs to be said? Dalton, Nate, and Willie give their opinions on the games they on their opinions on games they play and have a few laughs in the process. The Steam Machine podcast reminds me of the days when I would chat with my own friends about games, and they've created an awesome community and generally spread goodwill and good vibes. Highly recommended.
That's the goal, baby. We're just trying to spread that good vibe and bring people some joy of games and have a good old time.
Now, this one might be an older one, but I don't know if I ever read it on the show, but it's funny in retrospect now. From JL Hall Tech, which is our buddy James Hall. This was posted December 22nd, 2021. Okay. This show is amazing. The amount of enthusiasm and commitment the hosts put into the games they discuss is awesome, and I really appreciate all of the banter. Feels like listening to buddies hanging out and like you're one of them. Now do Nier Automata. So we got to it a year later, but we did get to
Hopefully
it.
he's still listening.
Oh, he does. He messaged me and he was so excited when he said that I popped up and said Nier. He was like, yes! So, yeah. In fact, I believe James is one of our patrons. In fact,
he is.
Speaking of our patrons,
Yeah.
and that takes us to the house cleaning. So if you would like to get your review read out when I remember to go and check, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That would be sweet. Or give us, I believe it's a thumbs up on Spotify and a good review. That would be awesome of you. If you would like to come join the Discord, it's where all the good stuff happens. Is going to be bit.ly/TSMP Discord. I might trickle out a couple codes in there as well for the people that are in there. So if you want to check that out, come join. If you want to check out the website, which is now up to date, thanks to one Mr. Puzzles Dane himself, bit.ly/the Steam Machine Podcast, capitalized phonetically. If you want to join the Patreon, which would mean a shitload, it helps me pay some bills, and that means the world. Patreon.com/the Steam Machine Podcast. Shout out to Yabs Pod, yet another BS podcast, a bi-weekly show where me and my buddy Jeremy, on the off weeks of Steam Machine Podcast, just talk some shit to each other, basically, for like 2.5 hours. Shout out to the JRPG Report, which I did release a new episode of recently because there actually was JRPG news. Yay! It has been dormant forever. It's like, dude, okay, I cannot make a whole episode on this Genshin Impact and Honkai Impact and whatever the Honkai Star Rail, the new one is. I'm like, dude, people don't, they're not even JRPGs. Anyway, new JRPG Report's out. Go check that out. It's a family-friendly show. You can listen to that around your kids. Do not listen to Yabs Pod around your children. The merch link, you want to get yourself a shirt, that'd be sweet. Rep us. Tell your friends about us because we're all really, really bad at promotion. So if you could spread the show by word of mouth, that'd be sweet. And that you could start by wearing a lovely shirt with our logo on it, tsmpproductions.threadless.com. Check out my music, nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com. And again, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. And I would like to give a special shout out to our lovely patrons who donate $10 or more each and every month to the cause. Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of Juniper, Jeff, the original expendable Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube himself, Eraser Adam, shout out to his blog in the Discord, Revival and Extinction, while his show is on hiatus. He's going to be like, why'd you give me the plug? Because, Adam, fuck you, that's why. James the Steam Machine, Hall, Monitor Hall, Team Retrogue, go check him out on YouTube. Team Retrogue is the man, Mr. Puzzles, Dane himself, and the new patron member, Chad the Mad Lad Schaefer.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate each and every one of you. We love you all. We will be back in 2 weeks to talk about killing some zombies.
In my head.
Anything else?
In my head. Zombie, zombie, zombie. Hey, hey.
Oh.